Taikira White is our next speaker. Taikira joined up with the intersection and became an advocate for student voice and for students affecting change in their city, in their state, in their own backyard. She's been involved in different initiatives passing here in Baltimore and Maryland that she's going to talk a little bit about, as well as about her history. But she is one that is a student voice for change in the city of Baltimore. And I'd like everyone to welcome Taikira White.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, so my PowerPoint is not as fancy as everybody else's. Sorry. Okay, so by now everybody probably know my name. I am Taikira White. I am a 16-year-old junior at Baltimore City College High School, and I am also a student organizer with the Baltimore intersection. In addition, I sing, I cheer, I dance, I write poetry, and I model. And I still am planning to run track in the spring, and I maintain a 3.6 GPA while taking international baccalaureate and advanced placement classes. I've had the chance to meet a U.S. Senator, a state senator, a mayor, several councilmen, and the national president of the NAACP. But that's who I am today. This is who I was. I grew up in an area in East Baltimore near Johns Hopkins Hospital named Church Square. It had a name based on the countless churches on every corner, but it was anything but holy. Because for as many churches, there were liquor stores. I had to learn two codes, the code of conduct for school and the street code of Eager and Bond Street. But the only problem was I couldn't flip-flop the two. Because if I used the street code in school, I ended up with detention every single day. But if I used the code of conduct in the street, I ended up being banked, being bullied, which ultimately led to me staying in the house by myself. I never looked like the kids in my classes or the kids at the park because I was lighter, I had long, thick, flowy hair with glasses, and ambition beyond compare. Nobody else understood why I worked so hard in school. But it was only so that I could get my family out of the neighborhood, where the police lock up first and ask questions later. I transformed my struggle into outstanding grades. I graduated from Dr. Bernard Harris Elementary School as valedictorian and the Ben Carson Scholar. I then continued my academic career at Roland Park Elementary Middle School, where I started to come out of my shell 1 year at a time. I joined the school's choir, and I joined the school's cheerleading squad. For the first time, I was accepted by a group of my peers. And at that moment, I felt like nothing could stop me from chasing my dreams, from being who I wanted to be. That is until my 8th grade year, when me, my mom, and my 3 younger siblings within a week became homeless. I was devastated. Not because I couldn't sleep on my bed, not because I couldn't get an iPod for Christmas, but because I was unsure on whether or not me and my family could make it through this crisis. As a result of this instability, as a result of us being homeless, we had to move 7 times. And because of that instability, I fell apart. I started slacking off in school. I became very angry at the world, and quite frankly, I was hopeless. Most of the time, I went without food. In the days that I did have food, I ended up offering it to my brothers and sisters so that they could sleep throughout the night. But that was not the only concern that I had. For in that same year, my grandfather was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and later, 3 months later, he passed. But this took a big toll on me, especially because that was my best friend, Who else am I supposed to go to when I have problems and I need somebody to talk to? He's gone. But that wasn't the complete turning point of my life. That was only 180 degrees of it. And the next 180 degrees of it has a name, the intersection. My cousin called me one day in the summertime of 2011, and she was telling me about this youth program that she was attending. And the only reason why I seemed a little bit interested was because it seemed like it was the only thing that could potentially get my mind off of my grandfather. So I agreed to come, and the next day we ended up at the Carmelo Anthony Center in East Baltimore. I walk into the building, and I'm so confused as to why they have a picture of Malcolm X on the screen, when over the phone she told me that it's about gardening. And in my mind, I'm like, what does Malcolm X and gardening have to do with each other? I didn't know he was a gardener. I thought he was an activist. So, but I already committed to coming to the program, so I ended up staying. And to my surprise, it was actually a program to engage youth in their community and ultimately train them to become leaders in their schools. And since that day, I have completed my training. I've led a mayoral forum. I've composed a photo documentary on environmental injustice in Baltimore. I've helped pass the bottle tax, which will ultimately renovate all of Baltimore City public schools. And this past election, I had the pleasure to work with a group of dreamers to pass the Maryland Dream Act, which was passed with a 2-to-1 ratio. But my journey is not over. For I do plan to graduate in the top 5% of my class, go on to college, and ultimately become a kindergarten teacher. Now, a lot of people will, based upon like what I've done in the past, they've asked me, well, why a kindergarten teacher? Why not a lawyer or a doctor or become an activist? Do something in that nature. And all I can tell them is, I want to be a teacher that sets high standards for my students so that they know what to look for, so that they will be able to do what I do. Westmore once said that we are not products of our environment, but we are products of our expectations. And I'm only 16, but I dream big. My power is beyond that of the drug dealers in clay courts. My power is beyond the tears that I shed at my grandfather's funeral. And my power is the same as all of the power that is instilled in everyone in this world. So today, we change the image of the youth. No longer are we the raving mob of black youth downtown beating up people. Today, we are innovators. Today, we are leaders. Today, we are world changers. Gandhi said that if we want change, that we must first be that change. So my challenge for all people today that hear my voice is to dream big, aim beyond the stars, and to be the change in the world, to be the change that you want in the world. So today, let's make Baltimore less Baltimore. Thank you.